Hi everyone and welcome back to Exploring Art. This is Alessandro. Today I'm super excited because it's time to talk about one of the most well-known and important moments in the whole art history, the Renaissance. This is an introduction, but stay with me because we are going to see this style from an unusual perspective. In the previous videos we learned a lot about art styles that happened before because Renaissance is a combination of classical works of art knowledge, political and social changes, and the presence of geniuses who wanted, and they were allowed, to use their talent to make something unique and immortal. Like I often say, it's very important to contextualize the historical moment to fully appreciate not just the works of art, but the entire style and the artist's skills. And this is probably even more true with Renaissance. Why? Well, let's start. Why Renaissance is so important? What makes it so well known and loved? Renaissance was a time period in European history between the Middle Ages and modernity. More precisely, it goes from the 15th century to the second half of the 16th. How often it happens in art history, it's hard to say when a style exactly started and ended. Here as well we don't have precise dates, just some theories that help us to have a better idea of the events. One of the common theories proposed starting point in 1401 when the rival geniuses Lorenzo Ghiberti and Filippo Brunelleschi competed for the contract to build a North bronze door for the baptistery of San Giovanni in Florence. And about the end, a common theory suggests 1492 with the death of Lorenzo il Magnifico. I know that at the moment maybe these names don't say a lot, but don't worry because I'm going to give you all the elements to understand everything. And you know I do it. What's important for now is Florence, a first essential variable, because it's in Florence where Renaissance began from the term rinascita, rebirth, used by Giorgio Vasari around 1550 to emphasize the artistic rebirth after the medieval time. That point of view pushed many scholars to identify Renaissance like a breakthrough compared to the Middle Ages, but a more modern view that I agree with considers it an evolution from the medieval art. It's wrong, in fact, thinking Renaissance like an independent style, since the foundations are both on medieval and classical art. And looking back to classical art is another main variable that brought to the new style, because the rediscovery of classical Greek philosophy became the foundation for the Renaissance humanism. Studying the ancient texts, humanists' goal was to make a citizen able to speak and write with eloquence and engaged in the civic life with virtuous and prudent actions, with benefits for the whole community. Humanists believed that individual encompassed body, mind and soul, and at the same time, man is the measure of all things. Wow, a lot of beautiful words. But the point is, they were not just words. Let me show you one of the best examples of what I've just said. The Vitruvian Man by Leonardo da Vinci, right? Man has perfect balance of body, mind and soul and measure of all the things. Individual who is becoming more and more important in the universe, while in the medieval time his role was more passive. And that meant also a more scientific approach that brought to many discoveries and theories, like the perspective. That approach started in Florence and then it spread in whole Europe. But why Florence? The Republic of Florence was a city-state like many others in Italy at that time, but with a perfect cultural environment. First of all, it was an important humanist city opened to the world thanks to its merchants, pretty wealthy, and even if there was an oligarchic government, there were forms of participation in governance and belief in liberty. All these elements combined were a perfect soil to make the culture grow up, in particular when the Medici family got in charge and they started to patronizing and boosting arts. The main catalyst for an enormous amount of arts patronage has been Lorenzo de' Medici, who personally commissioned and promoted art in the whole city, pushing the art demand and discovering geniuses like Leonardo da Vinci, Botticelli, Michelangelo, Brunelleschi, and I could continue with a long list. Some historians have postulated that Florence was lucky to be the birthplace of these great men. It's not completely true, since you can have great talents, but if you don't let them create, they cannot make a difference. Florence did that. It gave to the artists the opportunity to show their talents investing in art and culture. It's true that Florence was pretty wealthy, but it couldn't compete with other more powerful city-states. And Lorenzo de' Medici was clearly aware of that. He knew it that Florence couldn't be the strongest, but the finest city in the world, maybe yes. A city can be the strongest because of its army and defenses, but just art is immortal. And he wanted to make Florence an example of his mission. And the best work of art that represents what I said is not by chance this masterpiece. David, symbol of perfection because of the balance between body, mind and soul, who defeated the strongest Goliath. And actually Lorenzo de' Medici succeeded as well, because Florence became the center of the Renaissance, and still today we know Leonardo da Vinci, Michelangelo, Brunelleschi, Botticelli, and their masterpieces that we are going to discover together in the next episodes. So subscribe and let's start with this new series. Ciao!